Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are taking a really fascinating turn. We're going to take a piece of text that you might just think of as a simple set of children's lyrics, the classic Wheels on the Bus, and we are going to treat it as a serious, meticulously detailed data set. Because honestly, when you strip away the upbeat music and all that childhood nostalgia, what you're actually left with is a highly structured document. It literally uncovers the hidden mechanical and sociological dynamics of a public transit vehicle in motion. It's a completely fascinating data set, so let's jump right in and examine what it reveals.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is how our data breaks down today. Part 1, the anatomy of the bus. Part 2, the acoustic signatures of transit. Part 3, the social dynamics on board. And finally, Part 4, the geographical loop.
So if we take a step back and look at this data set as a whole, a very clear pattern emerges right away. Out of the 10 main descriptive verses in this transcript, a whopping 6 are dedicated entirely to the vehicle's hardware, while only 4 deal with its human software. That gives us a solid 60-40 split. It's a great reminder of how often we assume a story is all about us when the hard data proves it's actually about the infrastructure. Make no mistake, the bus itself is absolutely the main character here.
Which brings us to Section 1, anatomy of the bus, specifically its kinetic movements.
The lyrics meticulously document the kinetic energy happening within the vehicle's structural frame. First up, we have the foundational component, right? The wheels. Their kinetic action is explicitly defined as rotational. They go, quote, round and round. Then we have the primary access points, the doors. Now their movement is entirely different. It's oscillating. They go open and shut. So right out of the gate, the text is establishing the physical parameters of the vehicle, perfectly contrasting that continuous forward momentum with the binary action of letting passengers on and off. Let's move to Section 2 and see how this builds. We're looking at the acoustic signatures of transit, specifically the output. And this brilliantly illustrates the specific, highly repetitive onomatopoeic data assigned to each mechanical component as it operates in real time. Just listen to this. The wipers emit a rhythmic swish, swish, swish. The signals operate with a blink, 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 which, by the way, is totally fascinating because a blink is traditionally a visual cue, but here it's categorized right alongside auditory outputs, suggesting a rhythmic clicking sound associated with the light. Then, the horn acts as an alert system with a beep, 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 and the core power source, the motor, provides this baseline rumble of vroom, vroom, vroom. I mean, this dataset is giving us a complete 360-degree sensory readout of the vehicle's operational status. Moving on to Section 3, social dynamics on board, or what we can consider the human software. Now, the transcripts explicitly catalogs the specific demographic subgroups riding this bus. First, we have the general population, referred to simply as the people. Interestingly enough, their primary characteristic isn't a sound at all, but rather a kinetic movement. They go up and down, which is likely them reacting to the physical suspension of the bus as it travels over uneven terrain. But beyond just the general public, the text zeroes in on a very specific family unit matrix. It explicitly identifies BBs, mommies, and daddies as distinct cohorts occupying this transit space. But then, within this enclosed environment, a disruption occurs. The text records the babies going wah, wah, wah. If we treat this scientifically, what we are observing is an acute acoustic distress signal initiated by the infant demographic. In the heavily confined ecosystem of a public transit vehicle, this introduces a massive level of environmental friction. It is, quite simply, a localized crisis that requires an immediate behavioral response from the other demographics on board. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is juxtaposing the distinctly different parental de-escalation tactics that are used to directly respond to that infant distress signal. In one approach, we have the mommy's tactic. They employ an acoustic countermeasure, going shh, 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 directly attempting to neutralize the volume of the distress signal with a shushing frequency. In the other approach, we see the daddy's tactic. Instead of acoustic dampening, they pivot entirely to emotional reinforcement, stating, I love you. So the dataset presents these two completely distinct strategies side by side as the human software frantically attempts to regulate itself while in transit. Finally, we arrive at Section 4, the geographical loop and the macro environment. This brings up the absolute most fundamental question of public transportation. Where exactly is this bus going? We always just sort of assume a bus has a set route, right? It starts at point A and concludes at point B. But as analytical thinkers, we really have to ask ourselves, does the data in this text actually support that assumption?
Well, if we look at the structure of the transcript itself, we uncover something quite profound. The phrase, "the wheels on the bus go round and round," appears at the very beginning of the dataset. Then, after meticulously cataloging all of those internal mechanics and social dynamics we just talked about, the text concludes with that exact same phrase, "the wheels on the bus go round and round." This cyclical framing suggests something quite different from a standard linear journey. The data strongly points toward a continuous, unbroken sequence of events.
And the crucial constant through all of this, literally repeated after every single verse, is this exact quote, "all through the town." Think about it. The wheels are turning, the wipers are swishing, the babies are crying, and it is all happening continuously all through the town. If the wheels go round and round at the beginning, and they are still going round and round at the exact end, constantly moving through the town, are they ever actually arriving anywhere? Or does this transit system actually represent an infinite, never-ending loop? It's just a totally fascinating way to look at a piece of information we've all heard a million times. I'll leave you to ponder that continuous loop. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember, always keep questioning the data.